I guess that making an animation movie when you're not an animator is like making a cake when you don't know how to bake. You try to follow recipe, but you can't. Even though your cake doesn't look great, it's still good anyway.
Now, more music on your favorite station.
So, in 2020, I made an animated short film for my course. Disclaimer, I'm not an animator, I'm not a filmmaker, and it was really the first time that I was creating some kind of moving stories, like with moving images. So yeah, just go watch it, tell me what you think about it, and if you have watched it, you can watch this video where I'm gonna talk about all the struggles and the story behind the scenes. Just go grab a cup of coffee and let's go. So, it was my last year of art school, and I just wanted to do something relevant to me, something that I wanted to truly do, and not something that I would have done just for the grade and for the diploma. So, what do you want to do? Tell a story, make something authentic. Which means just not trying to force myself to do something original and cool and interesting, and just do something that I actually am interested in. Sounds very normal, like you should do something that you're interested in, but in my spirit of new art student, I felt like I had to be as artsy and as cool as the other art student, which literally means nothing because everyone has its own style and their own, point of view about life. So just do whatever you want. But then you have to find a topic. So you should ask yourself, what are you interested in now? At this moment, I was really inspired by Paris, old photos from my family during the 80s and 90s, mental health and self-actualization, cultural heritage and Asian heritage, and also traumatism. Traumatism, the big T word. It was the start of this global pandemic. Everything was uncertain. People were going nuts, emptying the shelves of all the grocery stores. No more gel, no more pasta, no more toilet paper. And I used to laugh about it. And it also made me think about some people in my family, especially my aunt. Not because she was actually buying a lot of toilet paper, but because even before the pandemic happened, she was the queen of grocery shopping. She used to just read all the catalogs that were in her house and also in my parents' house, even though she didn't live in the same city. And then I stumbled upon this post. Basically, it is saying that people that are just doing lots of grocery shopping during the pandemic are not mad, crazy people, but just normal people who have trauma. And that sometimes the trauma of the war can resurface into people even though they didn't actually live it. Maybe their ancestors lived it and now they feel the need to feel safe. So that's when I had this déclic. You have to know that I'm from France. I was born in France, but my family is from Cambodia and they went to France to actually live their best life. And yeah, it made me think about my mother's family and how they flew Cambodia. So I'm not gonna make you a history class about what happened in Cambodia, but there were this authoritarian regime called Khmer Rouge that ruled Cambodia during the mid-70s, and where all the families were divided, put into camps to work in fields, and there were no more freedoms. And my mother's family just ran away, went to Vietnam, but then there was this huge economical crisis and they decided to go to France to live their best life. And this is a life where you can have crazy hairstyles and have freedom, the freedom to wear anything you want, the freedom to work, and to like maybe create your own business, and the freedom to go to the grocery store and buy whatever food you want. And then COVID happened, and it was the first time in my life that my mother was talking about what happened in Cambodia and Vietnam to me. It was just like crazy stuff I didn't even know about her life. For example, she had a dog called Butler in Vietnam, and he was really sad when they left Paris. When they left for Paris, I'm sorry. She started to become a little bit dark, saying stuff like, yeah, we need to survive, I lived during the war in Cambodia and this is what is happening now with the pandemic. And it was just all the trauma surfacing. I realized that there were so many things I didn't know about, and I just wanted to create a project that was about this. So my first idea was to create a tiny graphic novel starring three main characters, three sisters who lived in France but were Asian immigrants. The three sisters basically had their own quirks. Like one of them loved to do grocery shopping, and the other one was a hairdresser and she really liked having dyed hair with like really voluminous haircuts. And the other one was a huge shopaholic who also worked in a restaurant. It's all based on my aunts and my mother. So yeah, they all had their little personalities, but all their quirks were in fact hiding some dark secret. The trauma of their childhood when they lived in Cambodia during the Khmer Rouge regime. I didn't follow this path because it was too complicated to create a story with three main characters, and I also wanted to challenge myself with something new. An animated short film. There would be one main character, one place, 3 acts, 1 day, no dialogue, showing instead of telling. Then you gotta start with a storyboard. So the storyboard is something very rough and very visual with not that much details, but it is here to help you visualize and plan your story and how you want to tell it. So then you have the character design. The design of the character was made very organically because it was inspired by my mother, so I had some documentation of it. I had some old photographs. But the thing with the character design is that everything has to be meaningful. Then you kind of want to simplify it because it's an animated movie, so you don't want to bring too much details. Then when you're finished with the character design, you can also work on the background design and the place where the film is located. And this is, I think, one of my favorite parts because the film is situated in Paris. It's a district called Belleville, and it is very famous for being a popular district. When I'm using the term popular, it's not like famous and like, super hype, but more like popular. It was a district with a lot of persons of colors, first Jewish people, then North African people, and then Asian people. So my goal was to make something that didn't feel too realistic and too neat. I just wanted to portray some kind of feeling, and this is a feeling that I have when I go to Belleville. It's very busy and very Asian, and there's a lot of stuff going on. I don't know, just like go have a walk there and tell me what you think about this district. And then it is happening in a hair salon because my mother used to have a hair salon in Belleville. So then it is still very organic because I still had some photos of the places she used to work in Belleville, and I also wanted to put more colors, have like this really kitsch colorful vibe that I really like. I also realized that the chairs in the salon of my mother, that in real life are some replica of a really cool designer's chair. And I'm like, what the today, we're in June. It's really sunny outside, but I have to work because this is my last week of online independent research for art school. Yeah, my past weeks weren't perfect, to be honest. Like, I was working, but I was also doing like so many other stuff, like binge watching Terracy House and also like reading books instead of drawing, which is not the best thing to do. And I've been really lazy and I've gained weight like everyone else, and my hair has been growing back to normal and I did nothing with them. Okay, so this is the first scene of my last part that I've done yesterday, I think, and now I need to make a second part. It's like very sketchy, but it's okay. So this is a hair salon, and you have like plants here that I need to draw, and they're going to grow. Oh no, it's not this one. Okay. They're going to grow, and there will be a weird fade out with a jungle. Yeah, that's cool, I guess. So I'm on Premiere Pro, and this is all I have. I think my animation will last maybe less than 2 minutes. I kinda finished the introduction with the sound and everything. This is what I did for the end because I didn't have all my animations. I just did some still pictures and that's it. I think it does the job. I'm not really sure about it, but yeah, that's it. This is the end. I still have one more drawing to do, and that I forgot. And now I'm just like searching some sound effects. So guys, this is my last day before the deadlines, and I finished all the things that I had to do. I had to export my animation video, and this thing is taking so long because I really don't know how to configure the video, and the quality was so bad. So yeah, I just tried randomly, and I think I found something to have good quality, but I don't know why it didn't export the sound when I exported the video with the good quality. So I need to do it again. Also, it's super long because c'est trop bien. So then it was summer. After 3 months of lockdown and online art school, it was time to get out of my bedroom, breathe some fresh air, and see some friends in real life, and just chill. Je profite de cette pause pour interrompre le processus de cette vidéo et de vous parler de mes inspirations extérieures, because creating an artwork is a good excuse to talk about the work of other people. D'abord, il y a L'image manquante, un film indépendant de Rithy Panh mêlant animation en stop motion et images d'archives. À travers des personnages sculptés en bois, ce film prouve que l'on n'a pas besoin de faire dans la technique pour s'exprimer et donner des émotions. Puis Funan, un film d'animation 2D suivant une famille cambodienne divisée durant le régime Khmer Rouge. L'animation et le design sont incroyables et l'histoire se veut juste, loin de la vision manichéenne que l'on peut se faire du passé. Aqua Viva by Alexa Limhas. The Journey of a Chinese Immigrant Working in a Beauty Salon in Miami, a poetic film about loneliness in a foreign country. From a POC point of view, this film will make your heart shut up. Analysis Paralysis by Annette Meleche. A fun yet touching film following a lonely man whose head blows like a balloon each time he is anxious until... Spoiler alert! Sore Eyes for Infinity. A woman working in an optical shop in a crazy dystopian world. Just watch it, because I can't even explain how trippy it is. The Body Keeps the Score, a book to understand how trauma works and how it affects our brain and body, and also how to heal. So, trigger warning, it has a lot of trauma experiences in it. It focuses on PTSD, so it's going to be very difficult to read in an emotional way. Into the Woods, how stories work and why we tell them. Dans les bois, comment les histoires fonctionnent et comment nous les racontons. En français québécois, by Yorke. So if you're interested in storytelling, whether it's in books or films or anything else, I highly recommend it because it's a great guide to understand how all stories are structured, from the beginning to the end. Et aussi, Les Rivières de Maïhua, qui est un documentaire autobiographique qui raconte en fait le chemin parcouru de 4 générations de femmes franco-vietnamiennes. C'est vraiment très 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 beau et c'est ce documentaire qui m'a permis de comprendre qu'on pouvait faire des choses vraiment très intéressantes en parlant de choses personnelles et aussi qui m'a permis de comprendre qu'on avait tous un trauma générationnel et familial en nous. Donc voilà, c'était vraiment the truc. Je pense que c'était vraiment la première inspi. After a few months of break, I rewatched what I did and what I've sent to my course, and it felt horrible. The story was here, but it wasn't finished. And I wanted to finish it as a personal challenge. But I needed something silly, you know? Some kind of reward to keep me motivated. And my reward to myself was a bass amp. Because I'm silly enough to buy a bass without a bass amp. So I began again. During the process, I noticed 3 things that I'm gonna call the 3 lacks. First lack is the lack of organization. The second lack was the lack of transition. My story was here and it had a good structure, but it just lacked transition. And the third thing was the lack of technique. I felt really stuck because I didn't know how to animate properly and cleanly and smoothly. After this diagnosis, I had to solve these 3 problems. For my lack of organization, I started to create to-do lists. I also managed to recreate a new storyboard for some of the scenes, and in terms of animation, I used to do things just on a whim, and I started to understand how important it was to organize yourself. Basically, you want to sketch your final animation first, so you make something really rough to see if it works correctly, and then when you finish doing the rough sketches, you want to do the line. You can still see if it's working. If it's working, you just color all the stuff and then you make an animation scene. Second problem was the lack of transition. So basically that's how my story is structured. You have this story and you have different acts. The introduction, 3 acts and a conclusion. And inside all the acts, you have 1 flashback. The thing was that my introduction was really good, but that there was this lack of transition between the flashbacks and the scenes. Basically, what I was doing, because I lacked of time, was that I just put a lot of fades in and fades out to everything. and it looked so bad. Yeah, I'm still cringing about it. It really looked bad. And so what you want to do is add some little visuals in between all these acts and scenes. So then you have something that is more smooth. It's like all this punctuation and all these connecting words in a text. For example, when you're putting words like otherwise, however, hence, in conclusion, and stuff like this, and like you put like some dots and stuff like that. I needed punctuation. I made some transition scenes where you could see a clock so you can guess that time was passing, or like I made some zooms on stuff like on the face of the main character, and I added other background moment when you know, I just added some stuff, and it was just some interesting details that made the whole product finished. So I had to admit to myself that I will never be the next Miyazaki because I'm not an animator, and it was hard because there were so many times where I couldn't actually animate what I wanted to do. For example, I couldn't animate someone cutting like hair, or just someone walking. Like I can't even do that. It felt too bad to just give up because I didn't have enough knowledge in animation, and I told myself that instead of thinking as an animator, I needed to think as an illustrator. And so I could just contour things. The thing when you're an illustrator is that you're not obliged to draw realistic stuff, and you can make interesting compositions without it being real. So, for example, if you don't get how to animate someone cutting hair, abstract the scene and just animate flying scissors. It doesn't have to be realistic after all. And you know what? Even if it's not technically good, at least it will be visually interesting, you know? It will make it pop. Well, you're done drawing and animating all your scenes, but it's not over yet. You still need to edit your video, add some sound effects, and add some music. And for that, you need some help. And getting help is hard, because you've been working all alone on this project for a few months now, and it was as if it was some kind of secret project. You couldn't share it because it meant that it would be real, and real is scary. But now you need to talk about this project and make it real, because you don't want it to end like this tree falling in an empty forest. You got me? So for the finishing touches, I actually asked some help from my father. To make my Belleville district believable, I had to incorporate some Chinese and Cambodian writing in it. And because I'm a really bad Asian kid and that I don't know how to write these languages, I asked the help of my father, and it was cool. It was really nice, and I've learned a lot of things. Then I asked my friend Aanlucile if she could make some music for my film so it can tie it together, and I think it can transform a work that is quite okay to something that is better. And yeah, Aanlucile is the only person that I know who is making her music from A to Z. It means that she produces it and then she sings on it, and she also makes really cool visuals. Like, she's a multi-talented girl. And you know what is better than the music that she made for the film? It's her personal music. So just like go follow her and listen to her music if you like, you know, funky stuff, house and soul and R&B. I think you will like it because it's like a mix of genre. So yeah, just go check out the music and tell me what you think about it. Just tell me what you think about everything. And the other music that I've used is in fact a free music to use that was made by this Khmer American artist, and he made a remix of a Cambodian song that is really sweet and nice. So then you share it, the finished product, and you're ready to start something new. Oh, and I also got my bass amp. Oh my god, it is, oh my god, it is huge. But yeah, I have my bass amp. So thank you to myself to have made this super cool project, because now I can play bass. Anyway, I hope you've liked this video where I'm just like talking about my experience doing something I'm not experienced in. And I'm gonna try and make other videos like this, and hopefully the next video will be about how to create an art shop, and it will be in French because my accent is really bad. Whew! Peace!